The following is a Goulash Media production. goulashmedia.net.
Welcome to the System is Down.
Well, good morning and happy Monday to you. I hope this interview finds you well and this episode makes your Monday morning a little less painful as you commute to or from your place of employment or are brave and bold enough to listen to it while on the job. But welcome back to another fantastic episode of the least comfortable show on the web. It is, of course, The System is Down, the place where we talk about all the uncomfortable topics, things like conspiracies, politics, and religion. If you're new here, welcome to the show. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Go find the person who invited you, give him a big hashtag #MeToo, kiss on the mouth, and slap on the rear from you and from me because I appreciate you being here, obviously, and I know that you're going to enjoy it, and I know you're going to enjoy it because of why you clicked on it. You clicked on it because, goddamn, I'm talking to the man himself, Tom MacDonald, Tom MacDonald, who I have been trying to get on the show for a hot minute, and am very honored and stoked to have had him on and had a fantastic chat about all the things, conspiracies, politics, religion, and of course, his music. We talk a little bit about his music. We're going to get into that conversation here in just a moment, but before we do, I got to remind you guys about the Downers Club. The Downers Club is it's what keeps the show going and growing and getting bigger and better and more beautiful every single week for you and your beautiful, greedy little ears and eyeballs. It is our Patreon program that you can join by going to patreon.com/thesystemisdown. And in doing so, for as little as $5 a month, you will get weekly bonus audio and video content every single week, including my extended interview that I did with Tom MacDonald. So if you want to hear that, stick around after the episode. I'll talk about it a little bit more, but otherwise you can just go to patreon.com/thesystemisdown. All right, I don't have much here for the beginning. Tom MacDonald, you either know him and you're stoked about this, or you're, I guess, tuning in because you want to be offended because you're offended by his music or whatever. More than likely, I have a feeling you're here because you just love him, you love his music, and you love everything that he's talking about. That's my case. I'm just going to assume that's your case. If not, then that's your problem. Let's wad some panties and ruffle some feathers. Here's my conversation with the great Tom MacDonald. Let's get weird. My guest today is the most controversial rapper of 2019, and definitely not a clone, Tom MacDonald. Tom, how you doing, man?
Good, bro. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for coming on. I know you're a busy guy. I know you got a lot to do, so thanks for giving us the time. How did you feel about our polite Twitter harassment campaign that we put out there for you?
Honestly, my Twitter's always going so crazy that I didn't even really see it. I just knew that you wanted to. I wanted to do it because I saw you do the album review, and you were really tasteful about it, and didn't leak the songs and shit. So
sure.
Yeah, I was just stoked to see that there was somebody out there that was doing it in a tasteful way that I didn't have to give a copyright strike to.
Sure.
So I was like, fuck it. This guy seems cool and he went about it in the right way. So I was like,
cool,
do the thing. Yeah.
Yeah, appreciate it. So give us a little bit of background on you and kind of your upbringing leading up to where you are now.
Shit. Yeah, man, just another fucking misfit kid falling through the cracks, got into pro wrestling for a while. Was a pro wrestler, toured around doing that. Subsequently got out of that because just accumulated injuries and
sure.
certain politics and stuff that I wasn't really fond of. And yeah, had just always been writing music and stuff. Started out with rock songs and shit. Because my dad introduced me to Zeppelin and CCR and a lot of classic rock and stuff.
Sure.
Pretty quickly came to the realization that I didn't have the voice of a Robert Plant or a Joe Cocker or somebody like that, but still wanted to make music. So it kind of transformed into rap and shit. And then when I left the wrestling business, I just needed an outlet. And that's really where it all started. I think I was like 19 years old when I released my first song. I'm now 31. So it's been, like a little over 10 years, and it's just, that's pretty much it. That's the Reader's Digest. I mean, if you go back and listen to like a lot of my old songs and stuff from when I was 19 up until when I was about probably like 29 or 28, it was, I mean, there's some good music there, but like the content and the subject matter like is completely different than what I'm doing right now.
Right.
I was just like a kid, just like trying to find my fucking way and trying to figure out what to talk about. And I was talking about the same shit that everybody else was talking about: the money, the cars, the clothes, the girls, the parties, all that. And then,
when I first started picking up on your stuff, I heard a couple of the singles, and I went back and listened to your old albums, and I was like, oh, he's changed a lot. Like, I mean, it's good, but it wasn't anything compared to what you're doing now. Yeah, for sure. It just, man, I was just doing my thing, just like everybody else was doing their thing. I was being the cool guy and talking about the same old shit. And then probably like 3.5 or 4 years ago, I had like this really crazy like mental breakdown and shit, and started dealing with like different forms of mental illness that I hadn't dealt with prior to the mental breakdown. And it was just like, I just had that fucking come to Jesus moment where it was just like, I was ready to just be gone, dude. It was 9 months of just like acute inner turmoil, and every fucking day felt like it was like a year long, and every second felt like it lasted forever. And after 9 months of that, I was fucking exhausted. I was just ready to be done with fighting, and I'm just ready to just check out. And by the grace of God, or whatever the fuck it is, I was fortunate enough to come out of it. And in those like moments, dude, you find out what's really important to you. You find out like who you care about, what you care about, what you want to talk about, where you want to put your energy and shit like that. So I just had like one of those epiphanies that you hear people talk about. It was just like all of a sudden everything clicked, and I was like, this is what's important to me, and this is what I'm going to talk about. And now we're here, dude. So that's the long and short of it anyway. Sure. So God came down and he said, hey, I'm going to pull you out of this and lead you on the right path to pissing everybody off, right? That's it. I don't know if it was God, but something reached out and touched me. Sure. So, yeah. So at what point in all this did you end up moving to the U.S.? Because you were initially Canadian, right? Right. Well, I'm still Canadian. But I initially did live in Canada. I was back and forth for like 2 or 3 years. And then I started having like all these crazy problems at the border. They were holding me for like 11 hours, holding me for 8 hours, holding me for 6 hours. Every time I crossed the border, it was just like a huge fucking headache. So then I just ended up getting my artist visa and being here on a permanent basis. Because I mean, as a musician, there's only so far you can take your music in Canada. There's world-class people there as far as producers and video directors and composers and writers and artists. There's world-class people in Canada, in Vancouver, where I was. And it was a really great place to like hone your craft and get it to like an industry standard, industry standard level. But there's no industry there, pardon me, to present it to. So my whole thing was like, I'm going to move to the U.S. Where there's record labels, where there's managers, where there's agents, where there's an industry, where there's a real music industry. I'm going to tell them all to go fuck themselves, right? Yeah. So that was the plan, was to come and kind of align myself with those guys. And then I got out here and took the meetings and read the contracts and did all that. And I was just kind of like disenfranchised by the whole thing. And I was like, oh, you know what? Actually, fuck all that. 2 times. I'm going to do it myself. So Sure.
Yeah.
Do you think some of the messages that you're putting out now, like the more controversial stuff, would that even be acceptable in Canada now? I don't know how things are up there with free speech and all that.
Yeah, of course. Canada's freer than the United States.
Sure. Okay. Well, you hear people like I don't know, like Steven Crowder and people who are formerly Canadian or still Canadian, formerly from Canada, and saying, you know, free speech is more squashed up there. But I don't know. I'm not from there, so
I never experienced it.
Sure.
Like, you guys have the Constitution in Canada. There's the Charter of Rights and Freedoms,
Mm-hmm.
and it essentially covers the exact same shit, with the exception of a few things like the Second Amendment, the right to bear arms. Canada doesn't have that. But
Right.
they have freedom of speech, religion, expression, all that type of shit. So, yeah, like, I don't know. I never experienced it. I was in Canada when I'm kind of fuck the system now and anti organized anything, whether it be religion or
Mm-hmm.
government or whatever it is. And I was always on that same type of shit in Canada, and I never had anybody try and shut me up. I never had any problems. So.
Yeah. Gotcha. So you talk about things like religion and politics a little bit in your music, but you don't say like hard stance on things necessarily. What are some of your like deeper thoughts on those things?
Well, that's pretty loaded. Like, I don't know. As
Sure.
far as like politics, religion, to me, it's just like, these are man-made like substructures of like a much larger system that are essentially just created to like divide people and organize people into different groups. And I mean, it's all bullshit, dude.
Sure.
It's all bullshit. And like,
Yeah.
honestly, like, if I was at the top of the food chain and I was running the world and I needed to keep control of people, it's exactly what I'd do.
Right.
I'd be like, okay, cool. So let's divide people by race, political ideologies, religion. It's just easier that way. It provides you the opportunity to pit people against one another. And then instead of everyone's focus being on you, everyone's focus is on each other. So it's just like, I don't know if it's as big and evil as like a lot of people think that it might be. I'm sure there's definitely some less than righteous intentions there, but it's really just common sense at the end of the day. It's
Right.
not some big fucking crazy conspiracy. It's just like, just look at it. What would you do if you had to keep control of 8 trillion people,
Sure.
So you start compartmentalizing people, and so you don't have to be the bad guy. You can make everybody the bad guy and they fight amongst themselves. It's just
Right.
the way that it goes down.
Which in a way is a conspiracy. I mean, they're conspiring for something, and that's it. Only makes sense to divide and conquer.
I just exactly. Like, I just order out of chaos, right? Like,
Right.
I'm in conspiracy in the sense of a lot of things get labeled as a conspiracy, like because maybe it's not true.
Sure.
Like, but I think that the structure of the system, just because somebody hasn't put it on a piece of paper and given it to you in a textbook, all you
Right.
got to do is stand back for 2 seconds and look at it. You can see the hierarchy. Like, it's not some fucking big secret, it's right there. So
Yeah, you're speaking my language, man. It's pretty much what this show is birthed out of. But so you do talk about some more conspiratorial stuff on your album, and actually your latest single, Cloned Rappers, is a little bit more on that side, which you haven't, to my knowledge, delved into much before this album. What are your thoughts on some of the YouTube conspiracy rabbit holes? Do you dig it? I mean, obviously you dig into it at least a bit because you talk about it. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah. I used to dig into it a lot when I was a kid, when I was younger. Like, there's like stuff I can't even talk about, bro. Like, I met with people and like I was really like looking into stuff, certain fraternities and certain, like, I was looking into shit deeply, and I wanted to know about these things so badly that I was like putting myself in the line of fire essentially to get the information because I wanted to know. I was curious. So I went down a lot of those rabbit holes as a kid. Just the secret societies and like wild shit, flat earth, hollow earth, reptilian fucking politicians, Illuminati, cloning rappers, satanic presence in the music industry. Like I went down all those roads. And what essentially ended up happening was I found myself surrounded by, I was accumulating so much information and thinking about it so often that it created like there was some sort of dark presence in my life at that point in time. I know it sounds crazy, but whether that presence was external or if it brewed up in my own head from reading so much wild and
paranoia,
subconsciously negative shit, it just put me in like a dark place. And then I was like, okay, cool. Like I need to like take a step back from this stuff because it's consuming me. So I just like backed off it. I'm still like really into it. I don't sit around and watch the documentaries anymore. I don't dig. I feel like
you can't dig into YouTube anymore because they shut it all down. So
yeah. And I feel like I discovered the bulk of the information before it started disappearing off the internet. So it's like always in the back of my mind. I always approach things with that knowledge, you know, kind of spinning around in my head. But I don't really dig that much anymore, just because I'm so fucking busy, and B, the first time I really dug, it didn't do anything good for me except create paranoia and questions and unrest in my soul, you know? So, but I'm into it. That's why I'm doing the things like clone rappers and stuff. Because to me, it's like, whether you believe in flat earth or whether you believe in clone rappers or whether you believe in reptilians or aliens mining fucking our fear to create power, like whether you believe in any of that shit, it's just like, isn't it more like fun and more exciting? Doesn't it make life more colorful to at least entertain those things? And like I sit around, like for years I would sit around and I would download on my iPad like all the newest like theoretical physics textbooks and I'd read that shit. And when you read theoretical physics textbooks, it's really odd because a lot of the things that science is saying in those textbooks tie directly in with the crazier conspiracies that are like on YouTube and stuff. So it's just like, it's more fun. It's more exciting. It makes life more colorful to at least entertain the ideas. And where I was going with the textbooks is the more research that these people do and the more they try to learn about our reality, the more questions they end up having. And the more things they disprove that we've believed for 50 years. So it's just like, I don't think anybody really knows anything about what the fuck is going on out here. So why couldn't it be like a race of reptilians running the human race as slaves? Or why couldn't it be a flat earther? Why couldn't it be, you know, not that I 100% believe in those things, but I don't write anything off because it's just, I think that's like an awful part of our culture as like a society. We hear like a crazy idea and then we just write it off. And it's just like, no, that's not possible. And at the same time, it's like there's millions of people fucking running around that believe, you know, the Son of God was nailed to a cross or Moses turned a fucking river into blood. Like, what's the difference between that and all the new shit that's coming out? The Bible
that's completely reasonable craziness.
It's just that it's older and it's been around for longer, and like it's had its chance to dig its claws into people's minds. So, I mean, relatively speaking, none of this new shit is any crazier than a lot of the religions that have been around for fucking thousands of years. And nobody wrote that off, so I'm not writing anything off. I'm just looking at it with an open mind, and I'm laughing at some of it, and I'm thinking about some of it, and, you know, I'm making rap songs about some of it. So
yeah, that's why you're perfect for this show, man. I mean, that's what I say all the time. It's like, the only thing that you know is that you can't say anything for certain. Like, if you think you know something, you can hear somebody say flat earth and you can say they're retarded, but do you know anything about the actual theory, or are you just saying they're retarded because that seems the easiest because of what you learned in school?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is like easily like disproved and stuff, but at the same time, it's just like I never fucking been to space, bro.
Exactly. Yeah.
I never turned around in a spaceship and looked back at the planet Earth. I don't have any perspective other than like what I read in books and what I see on Instagram and what I see on TV. So that's just really it. Unless I see it with my own eyes, I touch it with my own two hands. It's like, sure, there's a possibility. It might be slim, but there's a possibility.
Sure. Yeah, we don't need to spend too much time on this stuff, but I do want to get your thoughts on one thing in particular because people know that I'm kind of obsessed with it. What have you dug into the moon landing? What are your thoughts on that in particular, the initial moon landing?
It might have been like a brilliant narrative to bankrupt the Soviet Union. I'm not sure. It could have been. I'm not sure, but like also at the same time, it's just like it might all be bullshit. I watched a lot of that when I was a kid. Like I said, it might have been a brilliant narrative to disrupt and bankrupt the Soviet Union, which it essentially ended up doing for a short period of time. So I could definitely see that. But at the same time, talk to somebody like my father who sat cross-legged on the floor in his house and watch that happen for the first time. You cannot tell that person,
of course,
that's bullshit. You can't. These people were their fucking heroes.
Right.
Like, they refused to accept that. And I totally get it. It's the same thing like with the 9/11 shit. Everybody says it's an inside job and shit. Like maybe, okay, but go to the 9/11 memorial and look into the eyes of the people that are standing around that lost their fathers and their mothers and their brothers and their sisters. I think it's fine to sit around in your house and talk about it with your friends, but it's a completely different fucking deal when you meet these people in person. Whether it was an inside job or not, it is very fucking real to the people that were affected by those things. So, and you hear the conviction in the words, like my dad about the moon landing and stuff. You hear the conviction and you can see it in their eyes. There's fire there. And it's like, it's very convincing. Even though the evidence against those things is very convincing, when you talk to somebody who was there at that point in time, their side is also very convincing. So it just leaves me just being like, well, shit, like...
Right. Well, that conspiracy in particular was, like, it's a positive one. It's like a big morality boost for the country to think, hey, we're the only people who did it ever. It's something like 9/11. Like, if you dig into that, that's offensive because you're saying that, you know, whatever you're saying.
Sure.
But, I find the moon landing one in particular to be really interesting because I don't know, there's a lot of things to it that make a lot of sense. But if you personally had to put money on whether or not man has walked on the moon, what would you say?
I'd say that there definitely may have been men or women that reached the moon, but I would put my money on the stuff that was televised and the story that was told was probably all bullshit.
Okay.
If I had to, I'd say that footage is not real. And I would say that the story of Neil Armstrong and all that stuff is, he's a folk hero. I would say that it was bullshit. I'd say that there might have been somebody that reached there, but it might have been like a catastrophic failure.
Sure.
And that obviously wasn't in the news. And I'd say that the story that they presented was probably bullshit.
Right on. And what makes you think that? After this, we can move on to get back to your music because this is not what you're here for.
Yeah, sure. I don't know. I just know that for the fucking iPhone that I'm doing this interview on has more computing power than NASA had at that point in time.
Infinitely more, yeah.
Yeah, and just like on that basis,
and we're losing our connection here.
Yeah, right. So just on that basis alone, I'd be skeptical of it. And there's a lot of things like you've read about it. I've read about it. There's the radiation belt, and just there's lots of little details. You've seen the video where they said, oh, we're like orbiting in space. And then he forgets to turn the camera off and pulls a piece of cardboard out the window.
Yep.
And then you see they're actually like in low orbit. They're not as far away as they said they were. It's just, you know, it's a lot of fucking evidence that adds up against it, man. This is what it is.
Shout out to anybody from the future that's listening to this who will not be able to find these videos. They're out there. Hit me up. I'll let you know.
Hey guys, this is Dan's wife, Kayla. I just wanted to interrupt this podcast to let you know that he puts a lot of work into it for currently no monetary profit. And he has a family to feed. To do so, he runs his own media business called Goulash Media. Dan has a crazy creative brain that makes him uniquely able to take your project, whatever it may be, and make it the full package. So whether you're in need of graphic design, logos, branding, commercials, wedding videos, podcast jingles, music production, music videos, merchandise, websites, pictures, or what have you, contact Dan and he'll seriously make you look and sound awesome. For more information, just go to goulashmedia.net. That's goulash, Goulash, media.net, where Dan caters to the little guy with the big vision.
Anyway, back to your shit. You're controversial on all levels. You call out the rap community, call them popular addicts, and calling out the big pharma and all that stuff. Is there something in your life personally that pushed you to having these strong feelings about those topics, or is it just from observing?
Well, it pretty much goes back to that, just like the mental breakdown that I had, and just like. You know, we all have certain like thoughts or feelings about, you know, the industries that we're in, or other people, or politics, or whatever it may be, and we kind of like suppress those feelings for fear of ridicule, and and we don't want to sound like we're crazy and stuff, which I understand. I mean, a lot of this shit that I just said to a lot of people is going to sound crazy, but like, right. I don't give a fuck. Like, I just, after that mental breakdown, like I said, I learned what was like important to me, and I don't fear opinions of people. Think of me what you will. Think that I'm an asshole. Think that I'm crazy. Think that like I'm fucking a drug addict. Think whatever. Like, it doesn't fucking matter to me. Like, I know who the fuck I am. I know that like I had a fucking real belief like in myself, and a real belief in the things that I wanted to talk about, and I almost fucking died in order to like get these things out to the world. And just look at my fucking life, dude. I'm doing what the fuck I love with the people who I love every single fucking day. There's nothing anybody can tell me like at this point. I think it's healthy to criticize the status quo of the industry that you work in. That's how things get better. I think it's healthy to criticize the status quo of your government. It's just the way that it is, man. Right on.
So in this persona that you are, is any of it an act? Is any of Tom MacDonald, any
it's
of
not
the
a persona.
Controversy? Well, I mean, just in how you present yourself to the world. Is any of it
myself in any way?
Okay. Just how you are.
How I am is how I am, brother.
Right on.
That's it. There's no fucking act. This is not a fucking costume. This is not a play. I'm not putting on anything for anyone. For literally the first time in my life, for 27 years, I walked around wearing what I thought was cool, saying what I thought was acceptable, and censoring myself to make other people feel more comfortable. For the first time in my life, after that fucking mental breakdown, I no longer give a fuck. I understand that our time here is finite. And I need to do what the fuck I need to do, how I want to do it, whenever the fuck I want to do it, all the time. And that's it. This is the most genuine, authentic version of myself that I could have ever fucking imagined of being.
Awesome.
And I feel very fortunate to be able to do it on a public platform like we're doing.
Absolutely. Right on. So your songs like Straight White Male and If I Was Black are some of your most controversial. You know, you put out Straight White Male and people gave you shit for it being racist or whatever, and then you put out the counterpoint and people said that was racist. And so can you speak to that a little bit and where we are in 2019?
Yeah, it's fucking crazy, dude. Everything is fucking racist. Everything is sexist. Everything is offensive. Everything is a fucking problem these days. It's a symptom of our fucking society, man. It's just a sign of the times. Like, I don't even think that, like, most of the people that it started out with white boy.
Right.
I don't even think that most people really feel like those records are racist or unacceptable or whatever. I think, like, the main thing is that the new cool in 2019 is this fucking super granola, ultra sensitive, like hyper feminine, like version of like a man.
Sure.
And I think that, like, really what it is like, it's not that people feel that this is racist. It's that people feel like, hey, this guy doing something that might be seen as unacceptable by today's standards allows me a platform to stand up on behalf of people who might be offended and speak up for them, because I'm a fucking savior. Right. So on behalf of everybody who's offended by this, you're a racist, you're a sexist, you're offensive. And it's just this self-serving thing where people are just like, use your content as a platform for themselves to stand up and be, look at how righteous I am. Look at how sensitive I am. Look at how, compassionate I am for other people's problems. And it's just like, because that's cool now, is to be like super accepting and super universally palatable.
Sure.
And it's just like, it's fucking lame, dude. Like, shut the fuck up. That's why I released Straight White Male. If you didn't give a fuck about white boy, I would have just been like, great, I said my piece on it, let's move on. And then everybody was like, like, the last person that needs to talk about racism is a straight white male. Nobody wants to hear that perspective. And I was like, oh yeah? Well, I got
well, here's some more of
it. Yeah. So,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if I was black, the follow-up, did you plan that going into Straight White Male, or was it just kind of a response to people's reactions?
No, fuck no. That song wasn't even a response to anything. It's weird. Like, this is the true story of how that fucking song went down. So I had planned the Buttholes video, and I had a completely different video plan for it. It was going to be this talent show, and there was going to be like all these kids, like there was going to be like a really nerdy kid doing a terrible dance. And then there was going to be like another kid spinning plates on sticks. And it was going to be like this really fucking awful talent show. And then I was going to be sitting side stage, and this kid was going to walk off after doing this performance. And I was going to be all nervous and shit. And he was going to put his hand on my shoulder and be like, hey, don't worry about it. Just picture everybody naked. And he was going to be like a 10-year-old kid. And then that was going to give me the confidence to walk up, and I was going to shuffle over to the microphone and, bop the mic and say like, hi, my name's Tom MacDonald. I'm here to sing you a song. And then I was going to do Buttholes, and the judges were going to be disgusted. And there was going to be all these really stereotypical characters. There was going to be a Native American dude and a Mexican dude and a priest, and like all these really stereotypical characters, like sort of like, who the fuck did that song? YMCA, the Village People.
Right.
So it was going to be characters like that. And then they were all going to join me on stage, and it was going to be this big party with the kids were going to be dancing. It was going to be this big fun thing. So I had like rented the fucking theater and planned the music video and got the extras and blah, blah, blah. It's sunk like fucking $2,500 into this thing. The day before the music video, I take my girlfriend shopping, and then we're sitting in this pizza shop and we're eating pizza. And these two black dudes walk in, and the one guy had like sun bleached dreads. And he had like taken the two front dreads and tied them around the back of his head to keep all the other dreads in place. And I said to Nova, if I was black, that's exactly how I would do my hair, because it just looked so fucking cool. Sure. I was like, that's dope. If I was black, I'd do my hair like that. And then I just had like an aha moment where I was like, what a fucking interesting thing to say. What an interesting thing for a fucking white dude to say. If I was black, this is what I would do. So then I just finished my pizza and I said to my girlfriend, yo, we got to get home right now. I just had a brilliant fucking idea. We got to get there. So I came home. I fucking recorded the song and canceled the fucking Buttholes video for the next day and ended up planning that video, shooting it like 4 days later, and then doing Buttholes afterwards, which turned into a completely different fucking video.
Right.
And that's the story of that song. It wasn't premeditated. It wasn't anything. It was actually the opposite. It was very fucking sporadic and like spontaneous. And it's funny because a lot of people think like, oh, he's like speaking on behalf of like black people, and that's not acceptable, and da 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 da. But that's not what the fucking song is. The song is, if I was black, how would I feel about certain things? Whether those things are true or false or facts or not relevant, it doesn't matter. Like, if you really believe that black males are prosecuted more often and more viciously than white males, it doesn't matter if you believe those fucking things or not. It doesn't matter because you're not them. So it just doesn't matter. Right. So I'm saying, if I was black, that's probably how I would fucking feel. Right. Whether that's truth or not, that's how I would fucking feel. And that's where the song came from, and that's how it came about.
Sure. Yeah, that's something I pointed out in the review. It was like, people instantly came out and they're like, oh, he's speaking for black people. He's saying that black people all feel this way. And I'm like, well, I didn't relate to everything you said in straight white male, so I don't know like why you feel like every black person is being spoken for here. He's talking about himself.
People just like to cling to shit. Like I said, it gives them a platform to feel righteous about a cause. They can stand up and bitch on the internet. Like, a lot of people had an issue with the first line. If I was black, probably wouldn't fuck with anyone who's white, because that slavery shit would honestly always be on my mind. And like, a lot of people are like, yo, like, all black people don't hate white people, and like a lot of black people don't fucking, aren't in their feelings about the slavery shit anymore, and like da 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 da. And I'm just like, okay, fine, but like, you don't understand that like there are people in my life that pissed me off 15 fucking years ago. Right. And still to this day, I will not fucking talk to them. I will not answer a fucking text message. I will not answer a phone call. I fucking delete them off my friends list, because I'm a fucking bitter motherfucker when it comes to shit like that. Sure. I take this shit super seriously and I hold grudges, which is unhealthy, but it's just the way I am. And because I know that's the way I am, I'm saying, if I was black, that slavery shit would honestly always be on my fucking mind, because that's the type of person I am. I could not see past that shit. Yeah. So, whatever, man. If they don't like it, fuck them.
Yeah. Speaking of, holding grudges, let's talk about things like hitting a woman. So when you put out these songs, like, are you calculating which songs are going to be on the album, which ones are going to be released to the general public, or is it just kind of like whatever comes out, or how does that work?
Honestly, like, I keep giving these long-winded answers and shit, which is probably good for people that want to hear me ramble, but I was a pro wrestler for a long time. I look at everything in life like pro wrestling. A good pro wrestling match tells a fucking good story. It's good versus bad, and it's like, this is the way a wrestling match works. The good guy and the bad guy start. The good guy gets over on the bad guy. The crowd comes alive. Yeah, we love that guy. Then the bad guy does something underhanded. He pokes him in the eye or hits him in the balls when the ref isn't looking, and the bad guy takes over. And he starts beating up the good guy, and the crowd's getting angry. They're like, fuck, I hate this guy. I don't want him to be winning right now. And the bad guy keeps pummeling him and puts him in a chokehold. And the people are coming alive and they're screaming, get out of the chokehold, kick his ass, blah, blah, blah. And you keep keeping that good guy down until the moment where the crowd is so fucking angry that they're about to come out of their fucking seats and jump the rail and beat the shit out of you. And in that moment, that's the perfect time. You fucking put the guy in a chin lock and you say, okay, make your comeback. And the good guy comes back and the crowd fucking erupts, and then there's a finish to the match. It's story-driven entertainment. So to me, I write all the fucking songs, and then I'll release a song like White Boy, or I'll release a song like Hell of It, or everybody hates me or whatever. And I just think in the story of my career, what needs to come next? Out of these 15 songs that I've wrote, what needs to come next? What is the next chapter in this book that I'm writing?
Right.
So after White Boy and shit like that, the internet was so angry. Obviously, it's Everybody Hates Me. It has to be. It's the fucking next chapter of the book.
Sure.
So that's how I go about things. It's just like, and you
there?
Sorry, I just had a call come in. I just ended it. So that's what you'll see in this next video that I'm releasing, and I'm leaving for tour in next 3 weeks. So the next video is going to come out before I leave on tour, and you'll see that clone rappers happened, and you will see this next video that comes out in this next song is the perfect part of this story.
Nice.
Because you can imagine the things that are like, and I know you know this fucking song that's coming out next because I watched a review. Do not fucking say it, but like a lot of fucking people in the comments on clone rappers have said like, you need to watch out now that you've released this fucking song. You need to watch out. You need to be careful. They're not gonna like this. So the next song that comes out, you know what it is, but you're not going to say it.
I'm not going to say it.
Yes.
But this episode might not be coming out for a couple weeks anyway, so it might already be out by then. Once
okay,
this
perfect.
drops.
That would be fantastic. That would be fantastic.
But yeah, I'm very much looking forward to it because I was definitely pushing for that. And we'll leave it at that, just in case any spoilers. But yeah, so with the whole independent thing that you do, is that so you're right? Are you still planning on making more and more videos off that album, or are you just kind of on to the next thing? Because I was kind of surprised when the album dropped and then Clone Rappers came out and it wasn't on the album.
Yeah, work fast, dude.
Like, are you already on to writing the next album, or are you still working off this?
Sure am. But I'm gonna do both. I'm going to do both. It needs to be like a healthy mixture because there's songs on Ghost Stories that absolutely have to see the light of day. Absolutely. Sure. In video form. So those will definitely come out, but it's going to be like a pretty healthy mixture of like, these are my favorites off the album that I think deserve to be out, and complementing that will be new stuff. So
right on.
Yeah.
So I gotta ask, Tom, why do you hate Mac Lethal so much? Good old Papa Mac.
I don't, man. Like I don't have any feelings about it at all. It's funny. Sorry, I just got a text message coming.
Sure.
It's funny though the way it all went down. Like it was kind of fuck. I got another one. Hold on. Yeah. Okay. It's just funny the way it went down, man. Like it was like perfect timing for me because I had just released Straight White Male, and then he talked shit about Straight White Male and said he didn't talk shit about Straight White Male, and then all the backpedaling and bullshit, and it was just like perfect for me because I was fucking bored and I was just sitting around like I just released a video. I don't have any plans to immediately release anything else, so this gives me an opportunity to just talk shit.
Sure.
And like I've never done it before. It was like a new thing for me. So I was just like, oh, this will be fun. Let's do it. It's funny because people ask me about that all the time. And it's like, I don't have any like ill will towards the guy. I don't have any bad feelings about the whole thing. At the end of the day, like I think it was good for both of us. Yeah. And like, I don't know. The only thing that I have to say about it is like, he ran around and like told everybody that he won and proclaimed himself as the winner and like all that shit. I never did any of that. If there's one thing that I know like for sure, after a fight, after a war, after a rap battle, after an altercation of any time, you know who runs around and tells everybody they won? The fucking loser.
Right.
So that's really it. That pretty much sealed the deal for me.
Sure. Yeah, do you feel like in general, like rap battles and beefs like MGK and Eminem and all these things, do you feel like they help careers in the long run, or do they just give like a spike of attention for a second?
No, I think they help careers in the long run. Absolutely. I think that the Eminem and MGK thing is like a little bit of an anomaly. I think that Eminem fans are so diehard Eminem fans, and they'll ride for him no matter what.
Sure.
It doesn't matter how hard Machine Gun Kelly comes. It doesn't matter how well written his bars
if
are.
If Eminem came out under a surname and attacked himself, Eminem would still win because they would. It doesn't matter what he does.
Exactly.
Still.
so like I don't know. I think something like that, and like somebody that's it's a little bit of an anomaly. I think that might have hurt Machine Gun Kelly in the long run, but I think that's like the 1 percentile. I think like 99% of the time, as far as like rap battles go and stuff, I think it's pretty much good for everyone. And I mean, I'm sure a lot of people found out about Mac Lethal like through me that didn't know about him. That's a comment that I saw. Who the fuck is this guy? And I'm sure a lot of people said the same thing about me. Thanks, brother. I think, a lot of people found out about me through Mac Lethal too. So, and I'm sure a lot of those people are going to fucking stick around. Maybe not all of them, but some of them will. So in the long run.
I personally enjoyed both beforehand, and I actually sent both videos to a friend of mine right off the bat, and I was like, oh, it's so cute when mommy and daddy fight. It's so enjoyable for the rest of us.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Giving the people what they want.
Yeah, people got entertained. We had fun. Like, I think, it was good.
Cool. Right on. So, let me see. Let's talk about fake fans a little bit. The definitely the funniest song on the album. Were any of those straight like rips from YouTube or just inspired by? Are any of those quotes in there not true?
Oh yeah, no, they're all legit, man.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, maybe some of them were just like from my imagination, just like supplemental bars and shit. But yeah, for the majority of those things, I actually read. So. It's just like, I get it, bro. Like, I get it, man. Like, the fucking genre is full of bullshit, and people feel disheartened by, the artists that represent them, and especially when, like, a lot of these guys first come out and their fans champion them, and then they get a record deal, and their artistic integrity gets compromised, and it's like, the only thing I can compare it to is, like, when I was 14 and I was a huge wrestling fan, and Steve Austin was like the hero of my fucking life. And then at WrestleMania 17, he was a babyface, which is a good guy. And he turned heel at WrestleMania and turned into a bad guy. And it broke my fucking heart. It broke my fucking heart, man. So I get it. So I'm the fucking babyface right now, and people are loving it and stuff. And they're investing their time and their energy and their money into me. And I'm speaking a lot of things that are in their minds and their hearts. And it's for the first time in a long time, there hasn't been an artist that does that for them. So they don't want to lose me.
Yeah.
And they don't want me to lose myself, because it's going to affect them as well. And I completely fucking understand it. It's just frustrating to me, because like consistency and integrity are two of like my biggest things. Yeah. And I'm just like not going to lose myself. There's no amount of money. There's no girl. There's no fancy car. There's no promise, no carrot that anybody can dangle in front of my face that is going to change me at this point in time. So it's just frustrating to like hear those things and read those things. And that's why I talked the shit that I talked in that song. Right
on. Yeah, let's go back a little ways. As somebody who's like all pro, fuck everything. Let's talk about American Dreams for just a second, just because I think I understand the gist of the song, but everybody else seems to think it's just a straight up anti-gun song. Can you break it down a little bit for the record?
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. A lot of people thought that I was like anti-guns. A little bit, brother. So I was standing by. A lot of people thought that it was like anti-gun or whatever. It's just it wasn't. I'm actually pro-gun. I'm pro like Second Amendment. I think that people should be strapped. I think that's like important. Sure. It's just it's about people. The song is about people, and like the song is about romanticizing murderers.
Yeah.
And like these people getting famous off of some of the heinous shit that they do. And like you go into any like death metal store or any, you know, like pop culture shirt store, and you see like fucking Oswald and fucking Manson and
Right.
Charles Manson. Like you see Charlie Manson and all these guys on t-shirts, and their sort of legacies have been like romanticized to people. And it was more about like the morals of people and the compassion of people.
Mm-hmm.
It was about that. It wasn't about guns. It just guns tied into it because there's a lot of fucking idiots running around with guns.
Right.
But that's what it was about to me. But like, I'm like the first person to stand up and say like, people should have the fucking right to bear arms, and there shouldn't be anything that can fucking compromise that, period.
Sure.
So
absolutely.
But that's the worst part about music, man. Whether it's American Dreams or White Boy or whatever it is, like, I know what my intentions are, dude, but once it's out of my hands and I give it to the rest of the world, sometimes the fucking psychology of the message gets distorted, and there's not much I can do about it besides sit back and roll my fucking eyes.
Well, it's not like you've ever made a song that people haven't taken the wrong way, so it's to be expected.
Right? Yeah.
So you call your fans Hangover Gang. What's the meaning behind that? Because when I first heard it, I thought, you know, this is a bunch of douchebags who just drink all the time and they get hungover. Okay, whatever.
We were a bunch of douchebags that drank all the time.
All right. I don't know. Like, I came into the game late, so I don't know.
That was fucking great. Just a bunch of us, whiskey and motorcycles and strip clubs and chaos fucking for a while. It was fucking great. We had the best night of our lives every single fucking night, man. It just so happened that like, that's why the mental breakdown is the worst thing that ever happened to me. It's also the best thing that ever happened to me. Because when I had a breakdown, I quit smoking weed, I quit drinking, I quit fucking partying, I quit hanging out with people that I didn't really care to hang out with. And it just, you know, changed the trajectory of my life in such profound way. But the soul and the spirit behind Hangover Gang still fucking lives on in me. And it's like, now it's not about getting fucked up every night and drinking like it's our job and doing burnouts on motorcycles, but the spirit of, I want to have the best day of my life every single day, or at least as often as possible, still lives on. That's what this whole thing's about. So it's morphed from people that drank and partied to have a great time to people who are struggling with mental health or struggling with certain things that are going on in their life. Just out here trying to fucking survive life every single day is difficult. So it's just turned into just people, a community of people that you take care of one another and try to ensure that themselves and the people around them have as good a time as humanly possible as often as possible. So,
yeah, right on, man. I love it.
Yeah.
What are your plans coming up here? You said you got another tour. You're working, you know, ongoing on an album and new videos and stuff like that. Is it just, you know, continue the cycle, see where it goes, or what's the plan?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the like one thing that I hate to keep going back to the breakdown thing, but it just is what it is, and it's taught me that like every fucking day is a blessing. I hate that fucking word, but every day is a gift. And so I don't make big grandiose plans or long-term goals. I know what I want to do today, and that might change tomorrow. And I'm not into making plans in my head, because that's how you make mountains out of molehills. I know what I want to do today. If tomorrow I don't want to do that, then I'm not going to fucking do it. So I'm writing an album. I'm putting videos together. I'm going on tour in 3 weeks. I'm going to announce another tour early next year. And like, that's really it. And those are the things that I deal with day to day. And that's really it, dude. A lot of, you know, it's like every fucking time, dude, you go sit down with like a label or a manager or something, which I haven't done for years now, but I used to go all the time. And they're fucking, I guarantee you, dude, ask any fucking artist that meets with these people, they always ask, well, what's your 5-year plan? What's your 10-year plan? And it's just like, shit, bro, I'm just trying to fucking survive right now. I don't know if I'm even alive next week. So just like, I don't know. One day I want to be fucking Zeppelin. I want to be the Beatles. I want to be fucking Janis Joplin.
Are you planning on making more substantial hits that everybody loves generally? Yeah.
Yeah. Like I want to do this shit. But as, you know, as for minute details and specific ways this machine's going to continue running, I don't know. I make those decisions when it's time to make those decisions in the moment where those decisions are crucial. And that's it.
Right on. Well, cool, man. Well, I know that you're busy. I know you got a lot to do. Would you mind sticking around for just a little bit longer and giving us a little bit of bonus for the patrons after we're done here?
Sure.
Cool. Well, Tom, it's been an absolute blast, and thank you so much for coming on. Go ahead and tell everybody where they can find out all the shit about you and your albums, Hangover Gang, all the videos and everything you got going on, man.
Cool. So I hope everybody enjoyed it. My name is Tom MacDonald. Every single copy of my albums are signed. You can grab them from my website, www.hangovergang.com. If you're interested in hearing the most controversial music on the planet, you can find me on YouTube, youtube.com/Tom MacDonald Official. I do live streams and hang out with everybody on Facebook as well, facebook.com/Tom MacDonald Official. If you don't like the internet, come see me at a show. I got 22 of them in November. Fuck anybody that doesn't like it. Hangover Gang forever.
Right on, man. And any final thoughts for people out there who are easily offended by Tom MacDonald or Dave Chappelle or Joker or anything else?
Yeah, get better problems, you fucking loser.
I think that's the best way that we could end it. Tom, thanks so much, man. Hey, guys, thanks for sticking around to the end. I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Tom MacDonald as much as I did, and I certainly did. Of course, that is to be expected, as I have ranted and raved. There are few guests that I've been trying to get on who I was, more stoked about than Tom MacDonald, to the extent that I did some things. I did some things to get his attention. I emailed him quite a while back, the first couple times, and got no response, and then I was, I got to the point where I said, I'm just going to see what else I can do to get this man's attention, because he's perfect for the show. I'm sure you agree by this point that he's perfect for the show where we talk about conspiracies, politics, and religion. Who better than to have the most controversial rapper of our day and age on? Who better to have on than, man, it's tired out here. But I do want to give a shout out to some people who assisted in my ways of getting him on. So I emailed him, and then I did the review of his album, and I figured that might get his attention a little bit because, since you can only buy the album in hard copy, there's not going to be too many reviewers reviewing it because most people aren't willing to buy hard copies. But I'm not just a reviewer, I'm a fan of his work, and I was buying it for my own listening pleasure. And I thought, since I'll be probably one of the only ones reviewing it, let's just go ahead and dedicate a whole episode to it and pepper in a little, hey, Tom, come on the show. You'd be perfect. And that got his attention. I also want to give shout outs to people who took part in our polite Twitter harassment campaign. If you weren't there for it, I just sent out a message and said, hey, you guys, if you want to hear Tom MacDonald on the show, just go send him a message that says, hey, I started listening to you because of The System Is Down, and we would love to have you on the show. Looking forward to your music, blah, blah, blah. Just politely, but, enough people that maybe one of them will get his attention. I understand that it's not that many people because our listenership is not nearly remotely a fraction of what Tom's listenership is, and he gets tweets day in, day out, nonstop, that he does not have time to respond to all of them. However, we got his attention, at least to some degree, and obviously he came on the show. But I do want to give a shout out to everybody who joined that little campaign and made just a little bit of a push of effort to try and get Tom So, the big thank you to these Twitter accounts: Simply Shod, Dead Skunk Racing, Nacho Slave, Ben Pangy, Liberty Hippie, Proud Truther, Jessica Swift, JB Bryant, and Kayla Small. Thank you guys so much for joining in, and I hope that it paid off, and I hope you enjoyed the conversation as much as I did. And again, if you would like to hear the extended interview that I did with Tom, where he answers a lot of the bonus, or answers a lot of the questions that you guys asked in the Downers Club members. We're getting back to that, what I talked about at the beginning of the episode. The Downers Club, our Patreon group. We also have an exclusive Facebook group that is nice little tightly knit community, just a nice little family where I put it out there and say, hey, do you guys... I asked if they had any questions for Tom, and of course everybody has questions for Tom because he's a very interesting cat. So I asked him those questions, and those questions were all answered. So if you want to hear that extended interview and bonus episode, you can do so by going to join the Downers Club for yourself at patreon.com/thesystemsdown. Again, that will get you weekly bonus audio and video content and all sorts of fun stuff. There's other perks and things. There's free shirts and stuff like that you can get. So go check it out. Patreon.com/thesystemsdown. Signing up for as little as a cup of coffee. That is $5 a month. That is only, I mean, if you walk around for a month with staring at the ground, you'll probably find $5 and change. So it's basically nothing. So consider it. If you like what you heard and you want to hear more, just consider it. I don't mean to beg. I don't mean to be that annoying guy who begs for money. But every single penny that I get from you guys goes back into making the show better, getting it out there to more people so that we are able to get attention of bigger guests like Tom MacDonald and the person that the interview that I just conducted that's going to be coming out next week, which I'm not going to say yet who it is because I don't want to get this. This video already has enough of a high enough chance of being demonetized, so I'm not going to say who next week's is, but you're going to enjoy it. It might get our YouTube channel taken down, but all of your money goes towards helping me reach out there and get more interesting people on the show. So, you only have yourself to thank. You only have yourself to blame if it doesn't get better, I suppose. But I do appreciate everything. I appreciate even all of you guys listening for free. Absolutely, of course, because you guys are awesome and love you guys. But what else do we got going on? Every Friday on this channel, wherever you're listening to this right now, Scott McElroy does QAnon Chronicles, which is digging into the crazy world of the Q conspiracy theory stuff and looking into things that are happening in current events and the news and stuff like that. So very, very interesting. It's a completely different type of show than what this is, but I think you're going to enjoy it. So check out QAnonChronicles.com or just tune in every Friday right back here wherever you're listening to this for something else, something similar, but not quite. It's good stuff. I'm also working on a documentary about the moon landing. If you're not familiar, if you have not heard, it's called The Moon, the Myth, the Legend, Lunar Lore for Humble Dummies. And you can check out all the information about that by going to moonmythlegend.com. A lot of these interviews where I bring up the moon, probably I'll be taking some clips from some of those to incorporate into the story that I'm trying to tell with the documentary. So, Tom, you might end up in a documentary. I hope you're cool with that. Yeah, it's basically just digging into why certain people still think that the moon landing was fake, and other people really quick to jump to conclusions that those people are retarded, whether or not they have any information on the moon landing for themselves. So it's a big look into the human condition, why we think the way we do, why we come to conclusions, and I don't know why people are so outraged, I suppose, but check it out. First documentary that I've done. It's taken longer than expected, but it is in the works. Trust me, it is. Again, Lunar Lore for Humble Dummies is the tag. The Moon, the Myth, Legend, moonmythlegend.com. You can watch the trailer. You can check out the artwork. You can also pre-order your copy through the Indiegogo campaign, which is closed. It is finished, but it's still available if you want to pre-order your copy. It is there, and there's all sorts of merch packages and fun stuff there as well. Check it out. Do all the things that millennials do, the likes, the shares, the subscribes, the little bells, and the things that are supposedly going to get us in front of more listeners, but likely won't because we're getting more controversial as the show progresses and digging deeper into real life, which is scary to the powers that be. So do all those things, please. Help us try and overcome the algorithms and get this content in front of as many people as we can, not just for the sake of me and people hearing my beautiful voice and enjoying the show, but for the sake of a lot of the content. I honestly feel a lot of the content is important for people to hear, and it is becoming harder and harder to find. So, help it grow. Plant the seed and help it grow, like in Ferngully. And just do the likes, the shares, the subscribes on your YouTubes, your YouTubes, your Twitters, your Minds, your Gabs, your Facebooks, your Instagrams, and what have you. Wherever you found us, share it there, or whatever you use us on, share it there, because we're in most places. And if you look around in a platform that you don't find us on, hit me up, shoot me an email. I respond to all the emails that seem like real people. I respond to every single one at dan@tsidpod.com. If you would like to say, hey, I'm on this platform that you've never heard of, you should be there. I'm more than happy to do so. If you have any recommendations for guests or topics to talk about, or just show ideas, or if you have criticisms or hate mail or anything else, feel free to send them my way. You would not be the first to send me a nice little hate mail. So dan@tsidpod.com. That's it. I think that's it for this week. But do go out and, spread the message of uncomfortable conversation, spread the message of being humble enough to listen to other people and have an open mind. Because there are plenty of people out there. The majority of people in the world are smarter than you. The majority of the people are smarter than me. But it's not about being smarter or not smarter. It's about having different pieces of information, different pieces to the same puzzle. And that puzzle makes up this one giant truth that exists out there, but none of us have the entire puzzle, because I firmly believe that we're all here for a reason. We all have something to contribute to the fabric of humanity, and go be humble and listen to people and have an uncomfortable conversation with them. Know what you believe and why you believe it, but be willing to accept it if you find out that you're wrong. So listen and talk. That's what we're all about. Talk about all the things. Talk about the fun things. Talk about Tom MacDonald. Go share Tom MacDonald's album. That'll certainly spark some conversations with people. So if you're looking for something to talk about, some sort of controversial topic, just pull up a Tom MacDonald single and be like, hey, let's talk about this, because that'll get the wheels turning on some people's brains. Oh yeah, one more thing. Join the forum. The System is Down forum. I forget about it a lot of times. I don't forget about it, but I forget to talk about it on here, because that's pretty much all I use Facebook anymore for, is to converse with people in the forum, because the rest of Facebook sucks. There's a part of me that hates that we're still on Facebook in any capacity, because they can go kill themselves for all I care. By kill themselves, I mean the platform, not the people, not the Zuckerberg robot. But I hate the platform, but it does still have its values, and I'm trying to make those values more evident by having the System is Down forum, having these humble, open-minded, crazy, creative, fun, weird conversations in a nice little community. So just go to Facebook and type in the System is Down forum. It is a closed group, so you'll have to ask to join, but I'll let you in if you look like a human and not like Mark Robot Zuckerberg. Or you can just go to tsidpod.com/forum and follow the links, and it'll get you right there. But go join. It's completely free, and you can have these conversations with a bunch of other weirdos who enjoy digging into weird things, just like you do. Obviously, you do. Otherwise, you want to be here listening to Tom MacDonald, and you definitely want to be here this long into my outro rant and ramble. So thank you. Thank you all for listening. I appreciate you more than I can say, and I look forward to continuing and bringing you even more ridiculous content next week. And again, if it goes according to plan, it's going to be an edgy one. It's going to be a touchy one. It's going to ruffle some feathers. It's going to ruffle some panties and wad some feathers. So tune back in if you'll have me. Of course, I will be right back here first thing next Monday morning with some more uncomfortable content for you. Until then, ladies and gentlemen, and what have you, your dogs, your cats, and everything in between, please continue to question everything, stay uncomfortable, and I'll talk to you then. Thanks.
This has been a Goulash Media production. goulashmedia.net.
This concludes our broadcast day. Click.